Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. So, this is what they call Blue Monday. Strange that I don't feel it this time. It's been a strange period for me. Now that I'm looking for a job, there's a lot of reflection. I'm better than I was. It's been a whole month now looking for a job. I think I've done 100 applications, only been shortlisted once, and no interviews. I don't understand it, but yeah, it's not been easy, and it feels rather strange, this spare time. It's weird, really, because you think that, this is me normally, I'm going to worry about this period, and then when I do get a job, it'd be like, well, why didn't I enjoy that time? What a weird life we live, where when we're giving freedom, but the thing is, because of the constraints and the worries of money and bills and all that kind of stuff, it's not easy. Imagine how it must be for these poor countries living like this, and there's no chance of getting out of it. And that's why I always make these videos, because, although I do talk about first world problems as well, as it were, a lot of it's to do with the system and money and poverty and injustices and inequalities. And what I always go back to is this idea: if you believe in inequality, if you believe in equality, or justice, I find it very difficult if you could give an argument for money or the system or the way of life as we have it now. Just because it's here, just because it would be difficult to dismantle it and to create a better one, doesn't mean that we shouldn't be striving towards it, because these little band-aid changes that governments around the world do are not ever going to make the changes that are necessary to have a world of equality and justice. Anyway, it's not really what I wanted to talk about. There's lots of things that I wanted to talk about. This is number 699 of the Pursuit of Truth. I am umming and ahhing about making 700 the last one. Could be a live one. I haven't done one of those in ages. So first I wanted to mention about Pursuit of Truth 351, I think it is. That was removed again by YouTube because of some COVID thing. Something minute 1718. I am going to upload it probably after number 700, because if there's 2-month ban, it doesn't matter. Sometimes someone else will look at it and say it's fine, or maybe I just need to edit it and put a little bit in where I make it clear that I'm not saying this is the way. I'm not, because I'm not guiding people on what they should believe or shouldn't believe. I'm raising a question so that you go and do your research and find it out for yourself. And I don't know, only 3 people watched this, or 15 recently. It doesn't really amount to anything anyway, but I obviously feel a necessity to say these things in the hope that it does make a difference, or just to stand and be counted as those who didn't just accept this world as it was, and in the hope that in the future someone stumbles across this and thinks, yeah, why are we living this stupid, crazy world when we're free to do everything that we want to do? So yeah, that's that point. Also, I want to make a video about the new year, because on the New Year video, Pursuit of Truth, you can pick a video at the end. You can pick, and I searched for a New Year one I'd done before, because I thought I'd done one Pursuit of Truth. I hadn't. It went back 16 years to one called New Year's Dream. I spoke so posh in that video. But what was interesting is watching that and the one I just recorded, I was almost saying the same things 16 years later, and I wanted to edit it to show that things haven't changed. And actually, basically, I am the same person. I didn't realise that. I know I had a lot of the views that I talk about now, but yeah, it's the same kind of things, really, of justice and equality, and everyone should have a home and medicines and all those types of things. But yeah, the other thing I want to talk about is recently I've been watching a lot of Ghost Theory, and before that the Ghost Adventures of Cornwall. And what's interesting in those is they show they are like urban explorers, but with a paranormal aspect. So they find these houses that are just left, and they go inside. Often the windows, doors are open, they're left open. It seems rather strange. Obviously, there may be other urban explorers that are breaking into those things, and that's why they're open. I don't know, because it does seem a bit strange. But what is interesting is these places are like time capsules. You know, some of them, they go into some of them hospitals where they still find files, which is against GDPR and all that kind of stuff. Some of them are like houses, and all the stuff is still there as if the person just died. But often the case is that, they will date back, or the Ghost Theory are quite good because they do some research and they will tell you that this happened then and 3 years ago. Or sometimes when they find something, the latest thing they will find, like a calendar up on the wall, is 2019 or something. So, but what interests me is that time capsule and it sort of makes me think about life. I will have to write a poem about this one day. This idea of that, because I do, and I don't know about you, but I often believe that it feels like you live forever. It doesn't feel like you ever didn't exist. I suppose it's because we're born, in the womb, and assuming there is no cosmic, swapping of the energy of the soul and passing on, reincarnation, all that kind of stuff, or whether we've always existed in the matter, whatever is the truth of our genesis. That idea of living forever, you don't think you're going to die until you feel that moment, and sometimes you get scared. I do, thinking that is my heart's beating a little bit fast. Is this the moment? And praying, please don't let it be the moment. Let me live, for a long life. And then it fades away or whatever. But there will be that time when that moment comes. It comes to all of us. We, as the Quran says, we all taste of death. And just thinking about, these houses that these paranormal urban explorers are going in, urbex, no one's there anymore, but all their trinkets, all their things are still there, all their bits of paper. I keep loads of bits of paper and always, don't want to throw them away, my poems and all that stuff that I always mean to type up or finish the void or whatever. And just to think of, strangely a bit like now, when if I just imagine that everyone in this house died and it was just left like this, just walking around these ghosts or these memories, it feels really weird. But when you see these programs, it makes you think about that well, I guess the importance of life, and like the last one talked about fragility, it's this spectacular fragile life, that it is a once in a life experience unless you believe in reincarnation. And that's why it's so important what I say, in the sense that if we're going to only have one existence, why would we have this kind of slave life? And I don't use that in any detrimental way to real slaves, people in the past and now, but in the sense that we are shackled by this system that we're in, of money and of, working, all that kind of stuff, and spending our life trying to obtain the things that were freely given to us all. I know I mentioned that a lot, about intrinsically we're living in a constructed system, and this constructed system has put price tags on everything that once was free except air, and I'm sure they would if they could. Like the resources and everything that we manufacture from those resources, it was all freely given, and it's only because we've had to sort of decide that the only way we could get people to do things is by motivating them, by wanting to attain them through, and that is by getting money. But yeah, just seeing those time capsules, I'd watch it if you haven't seen them, because it makes you think about that. It makes you think about life and death and all these things we leave behind, and these memories, and sometimes we try to hold on to these things, and I think that's why we don't change the system that we live in. We hold on to things because we think, like the John Lennon song, Yoko Ono, I don't know if she wrote that part about you can't take nothing with you but your soul. But we do try to cling on. We try to cling on to ideas and systems and patriotism and divisions, the boxes that we've been put in, that we self-appoint ourselves in, like when it asks you what race are you, what colour are you, what ethnicity, what all these things, we tick those boxes as if we have to fit in those boxes. And yet these boxes have been made for us a long time ago. Some are being made now just to show our differences. And I don't have a problem with that. But my worry is that we forget that we're all one, we're all human beings. And if we should be able to live with differences. Yeah, I get that. But some differences are not necessary. Your self-expression differences, yeah, that's great. Because we don't want to be robots and everyone be the same. That would be boring, and there would be no inventional creativity if we were all the same. But some of these divisions, like land divisions, I don't see any benefit in that. Because it's one piece of this place we call the Earth. It's one thing, and we all found ourselves upon here for whatever reason, and we should be able to share it. We shouldn't need to. Because the problem with dividing, cutting it up, is it puts us in that box, and then you must be loyal at that box no matter what. And that's how a lot of people are. And that's why we've made war justifiable, the killing of other human beings, because you believe in that box over this one. There's no need for that. It doesn't benefit humanity, really, does it? What does it benefit? I assume you could still have identity and culture even if you didn't have those borders, because you would still have a geographical, border, as it were, an imaginary one or an invisible one by this set of people. And I suppose we could still have these borders of lands and this, that and the other, but as long as we're free to move around, as long as we're free to see that we're all human beings, we're all connected, and we all should be working together, we shouldn't be trying to have higher and lower, which is what is happening in the world we live in, where big businesses will outsource or use cheaper manufacturers so that they can make more money in richer countries. The idea of money, the idea of the system of whoever set it up, that this amount was worth more than this amount based on gold or whatever, GDP or whatever the reason is for why one currency is greater than another's. And so therefore you can make the same product more expensive somewhere else and cheaper in somewhere else. It makes no sense, because intrinsically nothing has a price upon it, because everything was free originally. We, the humans, have put these price tags on it, this man-made construction, until we realise that and change that. So I've gone off into my usual subject. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about. If you want to hear more, you can check Other Pursuits of Truth. I'm sure they'll pop up on the side at the end. The other thing I saw on Facebook was rather sad. I watched Retford Ghost Hunters. I think it's #TinyFighter, I think. About this girl, I think she's 7. She died of cancer. I didn't know anything about the story. I just saw it on Facebook, and then I followed. And I'll put the link. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't know whether they want to be associated with the Pursuit of Truth or whatever, but it just made me sad to see this is the world we live in. This is why it's so important to make sure that everyone's one experience is the best it possibly can. And that should be every driving factor of every world leader. Every human being should be thinking about that. How do we make this better life for everyone? Not how do I have a better life? How do we all have a better life? Because you wouldn't want, if you knew it was your brother or sister, you're not going to want them to suffer. So we need to see that as in a worldwide scale, because we're all brothers and sisters of each other. We're all human beings, and we shouldn't see that differentiation just because someone in the past said that you can't care about, or you have to see yourself different. We're all equal. We're all born the same. The only difference is once we're born, we get taught those differences, but they're not intrinsic. They're not real. They're not necessary. They are changeable. This story of this girl, it did make me sad and cry a bit, because she's 7. I think she had Down syndromes. She had cancer. Retford, I think Retford Ghost Hunters did some charity thing, and she survived Christmas, but just seeing the picture of her wearing an oxygen mask and the bravery of the parents of having to live without her, and just the thing is also why that I think touched me as well was obviously my daughter Lena is disabled, she has autism, it's different, but you always worry about your children. You always worry, like she mentioned in that statement that the mother had written about, I think she cares, and she'd done other she'd been involved in other parents through this journey and didn't want it to happen to her, and how she would feel if it did, and it has. And obviously every parent worries about losing a child, but that gives me more reason for wanting these changes, wanting us to be better as human beings, because if not do it for yourselves and for everyone else, do it for our children and our children's children, to quote the Moody Blues. Because why wouldn't we? Why would we want to give them the shit that we've inherited and the shit that we're creating? Sorry to be coarse. Because we may find, the problem, the reason why I think we need the change is because the way we work is this construction of us all being separate boxes, and there's having to work to obtain the things that are already free, so that we live and then live and die and think, at the end of it, what was it all for? Why did, oh, I just want to work, or else I don't feel complete, because I feel that feeling, but I shouldn't feel that feeling really, because my life wasn't meant to be about work. It was meant to be enjoying an experience, and enjoying this beauty of everything around us and each other. And so by us having companies and all this and all these manufacturers, and yes, I know there is some benefit in having competition, because then this person makes this better because of this person, but I think that could still be there without the money aspect or without the unnecessary duplication. We don't need 300 different car manufacturers. You could still have some competition, but we have to sort of do it wisely. Yes, obviously different people want different things, and it wouldn't be maybe great to have the same thing, like that. You wouldn't be great to have the same human being, and we want to make sure we have creativity and have all these different things, but working together is the problem, is the solution. If we can work together and not waste our energy and time, because we have a finite amount of time and energy, each one of us, and the best use of that is efficient and also beneficial to humanity. So if we're all manufacturing washing powders unnecessarily, maybe some things we do need creative differences, because that's, as humans, we like that. But some things, like Fairy Liquid say, do we really need 300 companies making and often making cheaper versions for other things, just so that this company can get more money, this one and this one, and worldwide scaled, and wasting all our time when we could just have one Fairy Liquid, or washing out powder I should say, and that's the best one, and we don't have to have all these different prices, all in different scales, because we want to get this market, and that's why we do that. It's waste of energy and waste of time, and creating, using more resources up quickly just because of this construction that we're in. We should have a world where it's beneficial for humanity, and we should be thinking about how we do that, keep our resources, because the resources will run out one day if we don't, we can't manufacture them ourselves by genetically or by using them more wisely, which is, and not only that, the energy that, say, like pharmaceutically, if you think about it, there's a lot of problems that people have pharmaceutical because of money. Companies will maybe make something that makes them a lot of money, so why would they choose make something else? Because this is making, the idea of prevention over cure and all that kind of stuff. The idea of having a tablet that you take every day of all of your life is better for a pharmaceutical company money-wise, isn't it? If you have to take it all the time, it keeps you in that equilibrium there. It stops it from getting out, rather than curing, which is maybe a one-off treatment, and that may be more expensive, but it's not going to make as much money in longevity, which is what every business thinks about. And so that's a problem, because then that may stop us creating cures and thinking that that's actually benefit, because you're thinking, well, how can I make more money? How can I make people take it longer? I'm not saying this is what's happening, but what I'm saying is all these pharmaceutical companies we know are working against each other. That's why they have patents. you know, so that you can't steal my idea and I have to come up with a variation. And that variation may not be beneficial for humanity. It has to be different so that I can patent it, whichever one you want to use. And, you know, like we saw with COVID, people, you know, if everyone worked together, we may come up with these cures. If everyone worked together, pooled their information, didn't have to compete, I don't have to share. I can't share, you know, like one pharmaceutical can't share with another or an employee because they get sacked for doing that. They have to keep it because this company wants to make the money and owns the, you know, those rights to that. And paying all these people to do the same things, whereas everyone could work together. I'm sure we would come up with cures and more effective medicines. I can't see any argument why we wouldn't, just by keeping everyone working, because people will be working for humanity, wouldn't be thinking about their paycheck, and you'd get the right type of people there. And that's the same with all industries, all, you know, care and all that kind of stuff, because it isn't about money, it's about doing it for humanity. And I think we will get better results now. I can't see how we wouldn't. If you think, you know, you can put your comments. The problem is our brains are all wired to the system that we're in, because we grew up as babies, know nothing, and everything we've learned is based on our surroundings of the system. And, you know, same as if you talk to someone from 100 years or 1,000 years ago, they would say, oh yeah, my life was better, you know, or whatever, because we're wired for that. Is trying to get rid of those wires and thinking outside the box and thinking what's actually best for humanity, what's actually best for all of us. Is it best for all of us to be competing against each other? Is it best for all of us to put price tags on things that are already free and thus shackling ourselves and putting ourselves in financial crises that, you know, that lead to people dying, that lead to people suffering? You know, like if you think of cost of living, or if you think of in a grander scale, you know, the poorer countries of the world that are being left in that position, whereas there's no real reason for that, because there's the energy and the infrastructure and all the resources that are needed. You know, it's just the money is what stops poorer countries becoming rich countries, and often because they have to pay debts and all that because they need money, so they borrow money, and there's a debt on that, and that keeps them in that place, and that's done purposely, I believe. So it isn't beneficial to live this system. It isn't beneficial in the grander scheme, in the smaller scheme, the macro, the micro, in individual or in humanity. So why are we doing it? I know I'm left with that every single time. And I know it's difficult to change it because those people in control probably are not thinking this way. And even if they did, to try and change, everyone is so possessive now. You know, that's why there's wars, you know, with Putin and with Ukraine. You know, why does he want to own a little bit of Ukraine when Russia's huge? Why? What's the need of that? Why do people want to, you know, what's happening in Israel, Gaza, what's happening in different conflicts? What's the point of all this, of fighting against each other? But the problem is we're wired. And how do we get ourselves out of that? And that's the problem, is most of us are wired and want to keep everything as it is and don't think there's any better way of doing anything, and think that it's probably worse to try and change it. And the problem is those people in power, that's the problem. The thing is, unless you can convince everyone that it's better to all be humanity and work together and all that kind of stuff, and get rid of money and all this stuff and build everyone up to the same position, well, that's very difficult to do. You even see, like with siblings, how they fight. Imagine trying to do that with 7 billion plus people. Or at least those world leaders, the 1,000 or 10,000 world leaders, trying to get them all to work together. You can't even get them to work together in the system that we're in. How can we get them to work together when there's no money and no possession, no land borders and all that kind of stuff, and trying to build, you know, make every country as good as the best country so that everyone has the same medicine and housing and infrastructure, technology, so that we can all rise together. That is definitely the goal, and is definitely the best way for humanity and beneficial. So why isn't it happening? Please comment, like, share, whatever you want to do. Take care, easy, God bless, and peace.